What up guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit unique, a little bit different, and the idea came from one of you guys. I had someone drop me a comment and say, Max, you should do a reaction video to this what happened to the #1 quarterback in the class of 2013 Max Browne YouTube video. For context, when you type my name in YouTube, this is the first video that comes up. So those of you guys that have been watching my videos know that, hey, we've been chipping away, trying to build this YouTube channel out, trying to put out content. But the most popular video has nothing to do with my channel specifically. It comes from Scott Fisher, who's a guy I actually know because of this video, who published a 10-minute, like I said, what happened to the #1 QB in the class of 2013 Max Browne video. Has 49,005 views, soon to be 49,006 views after we watch it. I'm gonna react to it. It came out on June 9th, 2020. I remember he DM'd me and said, yo Max, I just dropped this video, check it out. So last time I watched it was 9-10 months ago, but we're gonna check it out right now. I'm sure my guy Scott's gonna hit a few things right on the head, and a few things I'm gonna feel some type of way about him, but hey, it's all good. Without further ado, let's dive into it.
Believe it or not, Max Browne was the #1 quarterback prospect in the class of 2013, and he was expected to eventually be an NFL starter. But things didn't exactly go to plan for him. On this channel, I think I've done a good job of telling a player's stories based off the stats. But I want to tell the stories with more meaning, and hopefully help us all learn and apply things to make our lives better.
Let's go, Scott.
I've been wanting to make this video for a while now, because despite him being a 5-star recruit,
all of these USC intro
bust,
videos are
Max has had the right attitude and has seemingly found happiness in a purpose outside of football.
The time after
His
school
story can teach us all lessons, and I'm super excited
to go play for the Trojans.
Today
watch
we're
all
going
these
to be
hype
talking about
videos.
the rise to live a normal life. Second, all you do is play football. And finally, you usually have high expectations to live up to, and if you don't, then people view you as a bust or a failure.
First off, I didn't only play football. I played basketball in high school. I'm big on that too. I played baseball growing up too. I'm not a fan of the only play one sport. Playing multiple sports is awesome. Growing up, I was basketball and football all the way until high school. Your boy had some game on the court coming up into high school. I kind of lost it once I got to high school. First and foremost, it helped my football career. Kept me athletic, kept me doing different moves. Second of all, especially in my community, football was serious. So stepping away for a few months of playing basketball, that was huge. And it was just fun, man. High school basketball was dope. Playing your rivals, gym rocking, that was awesome.
Max Browne was a quarterback prodigy.
Coach Taylor, baby.
He grew up in the suburbs of Seattle. He eventually got
Sammamish, baby. Suburbs of Seattle. Sammamish.
to Skyline High School, and people knew that.
Ah, they have the graphic wrong. 3-time state champion. So this video right here is from when I won the Gatorade National Player of the Year. This is like a little promo video I did. I remember they pulled me out of school, and some of my best friends to this day are like acting in the background with me, but it looks like Gatorade messed up that graphic right there. 3-time state champ. I was twice as a starter, 2011 and 2012. We lost in 2010, my first year starting, and when I was a backup in 2009, we won. Got it done.
World to become an elite quarterback, and that is exactly what he did in high school. He became a prep star, and by the time he was a senior, he had led his team to a 14-0 record, and they destroyed every team in the process. When scouts sat down to rank the #1 quarterback in the class of 2013, it was going to come down to Max Browne, Christian Hackenberg, and Shane Morris.
All these guys I'm still buddies with to this day. Hey, that's one thing I take a lot of pride in. I went to a public high school. So much of high school football now, and I guess it was a little bit back then, it's private football or it's private high schools. There's something to be said about playing public school, high school football with the guys you grew up with, repping for your community. Something special with that.
Given the title of being #1. Whether that was a good thing or not was yet to be determined though. Besides dominating his senior year, he also led his team to a state title, and Browne became the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Washington, and he was also invited to the Army All-American game. After leading his team to 2 state titles and throwing for 4,526 yards in his Skyline career, he was wanted by every major school in the country.
The boys, Sinatro, Barney, Starnes, Dorio. Let's go.
He had offers to play for schools such as Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, Oklahoma, USC, and Wisconsin, but it was really going to come down to the Sooners and the West Coast power of USC.
That's true. It came down to the Sooners and the Trojans. For about 2 weeks there in March of my junior year of high school, I was low-key stressing. I was like, man, how am I going to make this decision? Oklahoma, USC, man, I don't know what I want to do. Ended up taking one last unofficial to USC, and I was like, all right, this is where I want to be. And I'll say this, I get this all the time now from people back home in Washington. It would have been a different ball game if the Chris Peterson era was alive and well when I was a high school recruit. And maybe it's died down a little bit with Jimmy Lake, but Jimmy, he's still a stud. But with Chris Peterson, when Washington was top 10 team in the country, country, we're talking what, 15, 16? If you're an in-state recruit right then, man, it would have been tough to walk away from the Dogs. The era I was in was Sark, which, I mean, I remember the days where UW did not win a game in 2008. And so that was kind of the climb out of that. And so the recruiting spiel was Sark then was, hey, be part of the guys that turned this around. I guess he was kind of right. Obviously, Sark wasn't there, but those guys would turn around in 14, 15, 16, just under a different head coach.
All-American Matt Barkley. Max left the Southern California campus knowing he was going to football there.
Russ, stay with the Hawks, bro. Don't leave. So that day, that was as special of a day as I've had. Outside of winning the state championships, that was December 19th, 2012 right there. Russell Wilson surprised me at my high school. I had a bunch of friends kind of line up in this spare classroom. I got sent down to the office saying, hey, like the principal needs to talk to you or something. My family, my friends were all there waiting to surprise me with Russell Wilson. There's a cool picture. Got Gatorade National High School Player of the Year. Super cool day. A lot of great teammates helped me get there. All right, what did I have to say here? USC came into the picture several months ago, and ever since then, they really went after me hard. Yep. As a quarterback growing up on the West Coast, at least for me personally, there was always the dream of growing up and being the quarterback for the Trojans. I'd be curious now if high school guys say that. It's probably not the same. When I grew up with Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush. That was the era. That was college football, and that was on the West Coast, Pac-12, or at the time Pac-10. That was the conference I grew up watching. Like, SC was the pinnacle. Now it might be Alabama and Clemson. But when the Trojans came in and the recruiting spiel to bring them back to the promised land, that was legit. And I knew I wanted to play at a premier program. Grew up watching all those Heisman Trophy winners. And yeah, USC offered me like February of my junior year of high school. And once they offered, they were on me pretty hard for the next couple months, and I ended up committing in April. And the rest is history.
The dream ended up coming true.
Yo! Look at this, bro. Look at this, bro. That's senior year of high school. I had this thing, like I grew out my hair my senior year of high school. We went undefeated, so I said, hey, I'm growing out my hair. As long as we keep winning, I'm not messing with the mojo. I'm growing out my hair. So I think that's, yeah, senior year of high school. That's Seattle Times right there. I used to always get Napoleon Dynamite comparisons growing up, so you guys can see the resemblance there a little bit.
He enrolled early to compete for the starting job. At the time, Lane Kiffin was the head man at USC, but Max was never going to have consistency at the coaching helm. He came into the program with a lot of hype and was pegged to be Matt Barkley's replacement.
Yeah, like you said right there, that was a huge attraction to me at SC, or one of the big attractions was the idea that, hey, I could graduate high school and just like Matt Barkley had done 4 years earlier, I could come in, get to campus the spring of my senior year of high school, could come in, battle for the starting job, win the starting job, start at USC for 3-4 years, right off into the sunset, maybe win a Heisman and a national championship, get drafted to the NFL, and all is going to be great. That was how I drew it up in my mind. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but that was one of the big attractions at the time with SC. And they didn't take a quarterback in the grade above me, so there was more of a vacancy with SC's depth chart than other schools. They had guys, Cody Kessler, Max Whittick, but there at least was a void in there a little bit.
As an 18-year-old kid going into college...
Gosh, this interview right here, and I'm sorry, I've never done this before, so I'm not sure if like interjecting's annoying or whatever, but this interview right here, that's 4 years later. This is the day after I got benched at USC, so that shit sucked. That interview was not fun, but yeah, that was a tough day.
That has to weigh on your mind, and it must be tough to think about those expectations all the time. Despite all that, Browne came in with excellent intangibles. He was a super accurate quarterback, he had a great football IQ, and he was born to be a leader. So many thought that the sky was the limit for him. He was immediately thrusted into a quarterback battle with Cody Kessler and Max Whittick.
Yeah, like Scott just said right there, the whole expectations thing, it's weird, right? Because a lot of it is the expectations you put on yourself. Right? But I also think when you're a five-star kid, like there's real expectations. And pressure's all relative, but there's a sense of urgency that five-star recruits have that other guys don't have, even at SC. When you're a five-star recruit and you step on campus, you're expected to play right away. And with most guys, if you're redshirt, you grow into the program for a few years, you start finding your stride redshirt sophomore year, and then you have a great back end of your career, and that's a great career. With five-star guys, especially in my scenario where there was a void at the quarterback position and I was the out-of-state Washington kid coming down to mighty USC, there was those expectations, and I think for me, I was definitely hard on myself, which is there's a fine line with that. Being hard on yourself's great, but I think my first 2 years at SC, it didn't always help me because I was so tough on myself and wanted to play so bad right away, when in hindsight, probably could have given myself a little bit of a break.
And the coaching staff felt it would be best to redshirt Browne as a freshman. Cody ran away with the starting job, but things weren't all sunshine and rainbows for the team. After a 3-2 start,
these were the days right here. This is at Cathedral High School in Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles. You can see off into the distance. And this is me working with Steve Clarkson right here. And growing up, I always knew who Steve was. Steve's the OG QB guru. You guys watching this video, you probably know who Jordan Palmer is, a George Whitfield, some of the bigger names in the industry. Steve Clarkson started it. Southern California, he had some of the biggest names, Leinart, Sanchez, Barkley growing up. And on Sundays, I'd drive out to Cathedral High School, 8 a.m. and train with Steve, and that shit was tough. And in the off season, I go 3 days a week. So I try to do 2 days, either Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then one time in the weekend to get sharp, whatever it took, man. Wanted to get out of that rut, wanted to be ready when my name was called. At that time, I was backing up Cody Kessler, and I said, hey, when my name's called, I'm gonna be ready. Steve had some drills that would get you close to throwing up, but he was testing you. Looking back on that work, that's where I have a lot of peace now, is because of those type of days. I remember driving my ass out to Pasadena on a Friday night to train on a grass and dirt field and in some random middle school with Steve Clarkson, trying to master a 5 on time post. So when I was in the Coliseum, I'd be ready to go. Love Steve and grateful for all the things he helped me with. Along with, I had a bunch of great quarterback coaches back in the day. Lavelle Durant up in the Northwest. Shout out LD.
Lane Kiffin was fired, and Ed Orgeron became the interim head coach.
Eddie-o!
The change ended up doing wonders for the team, as they finished 7-2, and at one point...
Yeah, so for those of you guys watching, I had 4 head coaches. Ed Orgeron, Steve Sarkisian, Clay Helton, and Lane Kiffin. 4 at SC. Pat Narduzzi was my 5th at Pittsburgh.
Even ranked. Despite Orgeron's obvious success, they decided to move on from him, and Clay Helton became the other interim head coach for the team. Even though he won the Las Vegas Bowl, they decided to hire Steve Sarkisian to be the next head coach. In just 1 year, Max Browne...
Here's a video for you guys. I need to break down my film. For those of you guys that haven't checked the series we've been working on, breaking down all the NFL draft prospects, go and check that out. I'll link it above. But it'd be fun to go back. This would be a good video and break down my form, my footage, my mechanics. Because looking back right here, I haven't seen this clip in a minute, but I can remember all the little nuances that Steve would coach me up on. I can tell this was the old making sure I stay level and don't pop up.
And his redshirt year was practically useless.
Right there, you can see in the little footage, Brandon Dawkins played quarterback at Arizona. Other guys I would train with Steve were Wilton Spate, played at UCLA and Michigan. Shea Patterson. I remember Shea was a high schooler. Those Friday night middle school Pasadena workouts I mentioned, Shea would fly out. He was living in Louisiana at the time, and we'd get it in. And it's funny because this Scott Fisher video, he has another video. It's literally right there on my suggested bar. It says, what happened to Shea Patterson from 5-star recruit to undrafted, 142,000 views. Dang, little does he know that we used to be grinding on Friday nights. Shea was a stud. Who else would train with us? Brady White, the quarterback in the draft this year, went to Memphis. He would always be there with us. Tate Martell, he's a big one. Shoot, I'm sure Scott has a video on Tate. I swear it wasn't anything with those workouts. They were damn good workouts. Guess it was just one of those things.
To learn a whole new system and playbook. Despite not playing as a freshman, the USC fanbase was hopeful for Browne, and he had a hopeful attitude for the future. Steve Sarkisian came from Washington, and he brought most of his staff to USC, including then defensive coordinator and current California head coach Justin Wilcox. Kessler remained the starting quarterback, but this time Max was going to be the backup quarterback. The Trojans had a ton of weapons.
I'm having flashbacks, guys. It's all, I can remember all the things that Steve used to get on me about and coach me up with. The elbows, the shoulders, the staying level.
Booster, and running back Javorius Buck Allen. Despite not winning the starting job, Max remained positive and watched as his team went 8-4 with wins over number 13 Stanford, number 10 Arizona, and Notre Dame. They ended up going to the Holiday Bowl, and they beat number 25 Nebraska.
J.N.A. Harris, throwing to my boy J.N.A. Harris.
3 games and completed 3 passes for
He's
a grand
stud.
total of
SC
30
fans
yards.
know all about him.
Kessler
Deontay Burnett. Those guys catching right there. SC fans, J.N.A. Harris and Deontay Burnett.
And Max knew he only had to wait 1 more year before he could become the starter. The Trojans began the season ranked number 8 in the country.
Robbie Colance, baby. C-Toe. David Melstrom. Cyrus Hobby. The boys right there.
But they fell to a disappointing 3-3 start. They did win 5 of their last 6 regular season games.
So I lost 2 different quarterback position battles to Cody Kessler. And my mindset when I lost those, like I was pissed, and my whole life, anything I worked hard for in my athletic career, it kind of worked out. That's just kind of how my life was up until that point. And so when I wasn't winning those competition battles and I felt like I wasn't getting outworked, that was tough. But my mindset right there was I was going to have the Mark Sanchez approach. And what I mean by that is I was going to wait my turn. I was going to stay ready as the backup at USC, and if my number was called, we were going to get it done, and I knew that I would still have 2 years on the back end to still accomplish all my goals. I would have my redshirt junior and redshirt senior year after I backed up Cody. Worst case scenario, or at least that's what I thought, to still get it done in the Coliseum. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but that was my mindset.
And they advanced to the Pac-12 championship. While there,
some nimble feet right there, baby. People sleep on that footwork.
Things would change again, though, as Steve Sarkisian left the program due to health concerns, and Clay Helton became the permanent head coach. They lost to Stanford in the championship game, and then lost to Wisconsin in the Holiday Bowl. As a sophomore, Browne completed 8 passes for 113 yards.
There's Deontay Burnett right there.
Kessler was now gone, and after a long wait, it was finally time to unleash Max Browne. Or so we thought. As a junior, Max beat out Sam Darnold for the starting job, and the USC fanbase was super excited. He'd waited seemingly forever, and he was now finally going to get his moment. The Trojans began the season on the national stage against #1 Alabama in the Texas kickoff. The Tide's quarterback was 5-star freshman Blake Barnett, and it was going to be a battle of high-profile quarterbacks. I find it funny because Blake Barnett,
the good old Bama start,
is the same type of quarterback as Browne, and he ended up flopping in college as well. Unfortunately, USC's offense wasn't very good.
Damn, we got our asses kicked that day. 52-6. We had some hope right away. Remember that first quarter right there? Gosh. One throw I wish I could have back. We went Expos. We had dialed it up all off season. We went Expos. We put Juju into the slot. We knew we had him one-on-one with the safety. Ironically, it was Eddie Jackson, who is a Pro Bowl safety, but we're like, oh, we can get after this guy. I think it was Eddie Jackson. I'll have to go back to the film and look. I'm pretty sure it was. Had the right matchup. Gosh, and we just missed that throw. Wish I could have that back. That would have put us up 10-0, and I swear, things could have been a lot different. We go up 10-0 against Bama.
And Alabama won the game pretty easily. Max threw his first career touchdown the following week against Utah State, but that would go on to be the best game of his USC career. After another disappointing game against Stanford, Max was benched in favor of the redshirt freshman Sam Darnold. From there,
good old Sammy D, buddy of mine to this day. Great dude. Don't sleep on Sam, man. You NFL fans, do not sleep on him. He needs to get some help around him.
Darnold took over the offense and helped lead the Trojans to 8 straight wins, and he then beat Penn State in the Rose Bowl, which was honestly one of the best games of the decade. This was a really tough break for Max, but he remained positive. He knew it was nothing personal against him.
That Rose Bowl game was tough. I left the team about a month before that game because I had to figure out where I was going to transfer to. I ended up taking like an official visit to Pittsburgh during that time. Remember watching that Rose Bowl game on my parents' couch in Bellevue, Washington. Was pumped for my buddies, pumped for everyone involved, but that was tough.
Darnold just fit the offense better than he did. He was still really good friends with Sam, and at the end of the day, Max...
A good old interview. Here's another video for you guys. It's like a 5-minute press conference the day after I got benched. That'd be a good reaction video. I haven't seen that video in a minute. I haven't seen that video in like 5 or 6 years. Ooh, maybe that's next week's vid. Drop a comment down below if you'd want to see a little reaction video to that.
Max just wanted to see the team do well. He had now gotten his degree and was also working on his master's degree, so he definitely had gotten his education. After the year, Sam Darnold was so unbelievably hyped up and was the potential #1 overall pick, so Max packed his bags and went over to Pittsburgh. Just like all of his career before this, literally a few days after he committed to the Panthers.
The good old Carrier Dome, baby. That was my last start ever. I would rip up my right shoulder on a sack by Alton Robinson in the 3rd quarter. I was about to throw a touchdown pass down the left sideline to Maurice French. We had a little go ball. It was about to be a 70-yard strike. One of my teammates missed a block. I got sacked right here. Shoulder was pinned up by my head. Came to the ground, ripped up everything in my right shoulder, and that was a wrap. So this picture right here, probably in warm-ups, is one of the last ever in a uniform.
Days after he committed to the Panthers, their offensive coordinator left, and head coach Pat Narduzzi had to convince Max to stay. He ended up buying into what he said, and he was expected to be the starting quarterback. He won the job and started their week 1.
Don't sleep on Pitt's uni combos. We had some dope ones back then. That was when the retros were true retros. Now Pitt has the retros as just the base colors. Was never big on the champagne gold or whatever color that is, to be honest. The retros were sick, but it at least gave way more uniform combos than USC. That's 2 sides of the college football uniform spectrum. USC, no last names, same uniforms for decades for the most part.
Matchup against Youngstown State. It took overtime for them to beat the FCS Power Penguins, but Max only threw for 1 touchdown. He struggled in their next game against rival Penn State, and he was eventually benched. It was nothing against Browne once again, but he just wasn't helping the offense this time. few weeks later...
Gosh, yeah, it was weird looking back on that. So like Scott said, I got benched right after the Oklahoma State game. We played Mason Rudolph, and we got destroyed, and it was weird. It was like the same thing had happened, like deja vu, and last thing I want to do is be a victim at all. But started at SC in 2016. We went 1-2, lost to 2 teams that were top 10 teams in the country. At that point, looking for a spark, looking to try to make something happen, I got benched. At Pitt, we went 1-2. We lost to Saquon Barkley, Penn State, top 10 team in the country. Then we lost to Mason Rudolph, Oklahoma State team, top 10 team in the country, got destroyed. Got benched, looking for a spark, but I ended up returning in the third quarter of the very next game, but it was this weird, like, I don't know, deja vu thing, and looking back, man, those out-of-conference schedules were not fun.
His attitude, practiced hard, and rebounded, which led him to get the start against Rice. He threw for 4 touchdowns against the Owls, and maybe he was finally going to play up to his potential. Sadly, though, he was thrown another curve.
The Rice game, man. ACC Player of the Week. That was where went 28 for 31, 4 TDs. That was a good memory.
Curveball as he broke his shoulder in the third quarter against...
Broke his shoulder. I didn't necessarily break my shoulder. I guess technically I did. I broke the bank heart, which I guess is like the bone that sits on top of the bone or something like that. But I tore my labrum in my right shoulder, a full tear action.
Syracuse, and his college career was now over.
See? Hey, let's check those unis right there. Those are fresh. I got that gold helmet right there in the next room. That uni combo, the all whites, yellow helmet, white cleats, swaggy.
He did have 2 workouts for NFL teams, but Max Browne never lived up to the hype he had coming out of high school, and he could have let that define his life, but he didn't. He doesn't regret anything that happened to him, and
it's one of the first workouts ever at SC.
He wishes that he would have been more easygoing. In an interview, he said if he would have told his 18-year-old self what happened to him, he would have taken it as a life disaster, but he says he is thankful for his family, his amazing friends, all the connections he's made, the times he did get to play, and the amazing education.
Ooh, that touchdown pass right there is to Nelson Aguilar. Football fans, you know him. Just signed with the Pats. That's funny.
He walked away with. This is something that we can all...
Looking back, a question I get oftentimes is, oh, what would you change? What would you do differently? I was tough on myself, man. And it's funny now, but my biggest fear was football not working out. That's why I worked so hard. That's why I invested what I did, because I said, I was aware that, hey, we had something here. And my goal since I was 5 years old was to make it to the NFL, and I didn't want to jeopardize that. And so I was willing to do what it took to get there, and obviously it didn't work out, but I look back, and at times, I was really tough on myself. And I wish, especially in those early years at USC, I wish I wasn't so hard on myself, because in hindsight, it didn't do me anything. I think it stunted my development, if anything. Sometimes people say, pressure, you don't have pressure. That's just something that you're putting on yourself. Well, no. I mean, when you're a 5-star recruit, I mean, at least to me and how I'm wired, like there's pressure that comes with that. With those expectations comes pressure, and that's what you sign up for. And I welcome that, and I think any big-time quarterback should welcome that if that's the life you choose and the path you choose to go down.
We can all learn from, as no matter what happens to us in life, there's always something to be thankful for. I know we can all apply this attitude to our lives. He hasn't done anything football-related in a while, but he has seemingly found happiness in a world without football. He began commentating.
Still finding that path, baby. Those of you guys that follow the channel know I do broadcasting in the fall. Just started a job in commercial real estate, so still trying to find the path. But like Scott said, still a lot of great things in the world right there. Rob Dooley, one of my best friends to this day, in the background right there. Good old Dooley.
And analyzing Pac-12 football games on YouTube in hopes of one day becoming a color commentator. For now, he seems to be fine with being on the radio. Based off his social media profile, he seems to be very open about his life, his struggles, and his USC career, and he doesn't portray a fake image. He is who,
like this video keeps alluding to,
he is, and he is proud of how his life has turned out, and that is something we should all do. So many athletes only post stuff because they think it's cool, and they hide their real personalities and feelings to the world. Max Browne is a breath of fresh air, and instead of letting his football career define his life and let people bring him down, he has put a positive spin on it and found happiness in himself. Overall, I really don't remember much of Max Browne in college, but looking back at his story, it makes me wish that he had more success.
Overall, I don't remember who the heck Max Browne is, but it comes with the territory, I guess. It sucks. I laugh at it now, but hey, what can you do now?
But the college football gods just didn't have it in the cards for him to be a star. It is sad to see that he had to end his career with a devastating injury, but I'm happy that he at least got to try out with some NFL teams and at least got the opportunity to potentially make it to the NFL. Max may not do well in college, but he's definitely not a bust in life. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I really want to know what you guys think.
Wait, what did he just say? I'm a something but not a bust in life?
Potentially make it to the NFL. Max may not have done well in college, but he's definitely not a bust in life. I really hope you guys enjoyed.
I'll take that. To this day, like, it's funny. I'll get comments probably on this video, oh, Max, you're a bust, all that stuff. And I am, right? When you have the expectations I had, like, it comes with the territory. I am one of the biggest busts of the last decade in college football. It sucks, but that is what it is. But it's funny, to this day, people will say, oh, no, you're not a bust, Max. Well, it's like, if I'm not a bust, then who is? And so I just try to own it, because I think when you don't, and you try to tell yourself this fake narrative, it leads to not taking accountability for your life. So that's how I'm wired. That's how it nets out with me. That accountability and ownership has brought me a lot of peace in my life. And so that's the mindset I try to share to others when they ask me about my story and how I'm living. A little different format of a video, but hopefully you guys enjoyed. As I continue to grow out this YouTube channel, trying to expand the content, do some player breakdowns, true X's and O's type videos, but also dive into the more human side of the game as well, and also just share tidbits from my story and my playing days. But yeah, like I said, when you type my name in on YouTube, Max Browne, nothing from my channel comes up right away, at least when I do it. Hey, maybe test it out. This video is the first one that comes up, but hopefully as we continue to grow this channel, that changes, and we can get videos from this channel popping up right away. But if you like this video, smash the like button down below. Consider hitting the subscribe button as well. And drop me a comment down below with what you thought of this video and any other content ideas you have for me. Always down to dive into a new format. But thanks for spending some time with me. Appreciate you guys watching this video, and I'll see you back here soon for another video. Peace.